Hello, boys and girls, to ShockCast, episode 213, Ryan? Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, you're correct.
I'm your host.
You gotta go with your heart, George. So.
And my heart says 213. I am your host, George Jimenez from DualShockers.com. Joining me this week, my partner in crime, Mr. Ryan Meitzler.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we have no True Detective to make fun of this week, so this feels weird, Ryan.
Would you say it's like blue balls in your heart?
Ugh, all right, you know what? next week, you're gonna watch Ballers, all like 10 episodes that are out. And we're gonna talk about Ballers next week because I like that show. It's a really dumb show, but I like that show.
Instead, next week you'll be like, "Hey Ryan, did you watch Ballers yet?" And he was like, "No, but I watched all 5 seasons of The Wire." So there's that. Like,
I've never seen The Wire.
I haven't either. So that might be next what we have to go through. Like.
Would that be our summer project? It's like we'll sit there.
Yeah,
like a book
watch The Wire.
We need to watch The Wire.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ryan, video games. I guess this is a video game podcast. I hear.
I thought this is the Wire fan cast. It was like, yeah, but there are some new releases. Typically the summer is a little bit of a slow month, but there's still some pretty good stuff in there. So for the week of August 16th to the 23rd, 2015, we have Armacrog for PC, Linux, and Mac. Volume for PS4, Vita, and PC. Dungeon Travelers 2, The Royal Library and the Monster Seal for Vita. Resident Evil Revelations 2 for Vita. Zombie for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. So this is the current gen port of Zombie U, but it's now just called Zombie. They had to drop the U. The Bridge for Ouya, PS4, PS3, PSN, and Wii U. Vita and Wii U. Adventures of Pip for PS4, Arcade Archives, Bomb Jack for PS4, Curses and Chaos for PS4 and Vita, Gianna Sisters, Dream Runners for PS4, 3D Gunstar Heroes 3D for 3DS, Shadowrun Hong Kong for PC, Trine 3, Facts of Power for PC, Woe Dave for Wii U, and LBX Little Battlers Experience for 3DS. And that's it. Not a ton of stuff, but.
I'm going to go with 3D Gunstar Heroes because Gunstar Heroes is the greatest platforming game that ever existed. Hands down.
Gunstar Heroes is pretty great. I did enjoy it. I really got to play that was on 360. They did an XBLA port of that, and I got to play that. I'm going to do
that board game stage where you're like, you have to like shoot the dice and it gives you a number of rolls and it becomes like a game of Mario Party. And I'm like, damn, this is.
It is, yeah. Gunstar Heroes is like one of those classic like shoot 'em up platforming games. It's really fun. I'm gonna go. So I do want to play Resident Evil Revelations 2. I've been debating about getting either the PC or the Vita version.
It's not bad. I reviewed.
Yeah, I'll wait.
The Xbox One.
I was kind of waiting on it. I didn't really want to play it when it was coming out in episodes originally. I wanted to wait until the whole thing was out and kind of play it. So I will probably pick that up at some point. My pick is gonna be. Yeah, we need more Barry and Jill sandwiches in there, you know. So my pick is going to be Volume, which is it's the follow-up game from Mike Bithell, who is the developer of Thomas Was Alone. So this is kind of his next game he's developing. It looks really cool. It's like it's a stealth game that it reimagines Robin Hood, and it's got a really cool art style. And I know a lot of people have said that have compared it to Metal Gear Solid. Like it's got a similar sort of, it's like the original Metal Gear Solid.
Right.
And so it's got
like
similar play style
and stuff like that. Like,
yeah, it looks really cool. I'm really looking forward to checking that out, and that'll be out this week. So, yeah.
I mean, I did pick Gunstar Heroes, but I do want to give a special honorable mention to. It's Zombie now. I guess it makes sense not to call it Zombie U because it's no longer on the Wii U.
It's just called Zombie now, but this is the port of Zombie U, which was a Wii U launch title. But obviously, they announced it was like at least a couple weeks to a month ago that they said it would be coming over to PS4 to the current gen consoles and PC. So now it's just called Zombie. There's no U.
Yeah, good. That is a fantastic game. I remember I've spoken about it a few times on the podcast, but it's a zombie survival game. And it's permadeath. So when you're out in the world and you get killed, you actually they like re-roll a new character for you. So the first character might be like Ryan the pilot. And then when Ryan the pilot gets killed, you become like Sue the nurse. And then in order for you to continue, you kind of have to go retrieve your backpack from your previous dead body. So
yeah, it's very it's like Dark Souls.
Ryan becomes a boss, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very. It's I played a little bit of it with friends, like when the Wii U came out, and it was pretty fun. I didn't get too far into it, but it was fun. But yeah, it does have that very like kind of Dark Souls or Bloodborne style, mechanic where when you die, you go back and you'll get your stuff, because it is permadeath.
What I'm curious about is how they're gonna do all the gamepad stuff, because that game was very like gamepad. That was, it was a launch title, so it was like, no, everything has to use this gamepad. So it was like it was the map, that weird like X-ray vision thing that you kind of have to highlight and do like random things like this with the camera.
Yeah,
on the gamepad. So I'm assuming it's all done with the right joystick now.
Yeah, I'm curious. I know that was a game that like and that was always kind of the problem of like porting over those Wii U games is like they're so specifically designed around the gamepad, and Zombie U especially is one of those games.
But yeah, let's go. Oh yeah, right. I meant to ask you, since it's getting closer to Metal Gear time, and you've been playing through the game so vigilantly.
Yeah.
Where are we right now on Metal Gear Solid 2? I need to know everything.
Well, so as an update, so for those that don't know, I've been doing sort of a Metal Gear-a-thon to prep for Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain, because I never played through the games before. I played through. I played through the original game. No, I played the Metal Gear Solid about like 2 years ago, and today I finished Metal Gear Solid 2. So I'm one game closer toward Phantom Pain. Actually, I did play Ground Zeroes as well, but yeah. So I just kind of I had like my whole day was kind of open today, other than doing laundry. So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna sit down. I'm just gonna finish the game, and I went through and finished the second half of the game, and it was fun. I thought for a 14-year-old game, it held up pretty well. Like it actually was still like I think. With Metal Gear games, my biggest problem with them has always been the controls. I've never been a big fan of Metal Gear's controls because there are especially a lot of parts, especially because like most Metal Gear Solid 2 takes place on like the the big
big shell, the oil,
the big shell, the oil rig, like out in the ocean. And there are a lot of segments where you can fall off easily. There were several moments of like 15-minute stretches where I just kept falling off and dying because I was fighting the controls, and that was probably the most frustrating thing about it. But the game itself was actually really fun and still held up well. I think some of it was a little bit spoiled for me because like I knew the big twist that like, oh, you play as Raiden for the rest of the game and all that. It was still really cool. I actually kind of liked that. I thought it was a cool approach, seeing the story from another character's perspective and seeing Snake in a different way than playing as him like in the previous game.
Yeah, it was Snake in like a mentorship role almost, where he was the codec guy and he'd give you all the information about Dead Cell.
Yeah, I mean, because like it was almost kind of like Snake was like that a little bit in the first game, not quite as much. He was still pretty much like badass, but like this time around, it was funny, like with him basically talking down Raiden, being like, "Oh, kid, come on, kid, you can do this," like all that. So yeah, it was good. I finished that, and so I'm gonna be playing 3, 4, and Peace Walker, but I'm playing them when they released, so I'm going to do Snake Eater next. Okay. So I'll probably start that this week, but yeah, I'm getting there. I finished one crossed off on the list, so I'm getting there.
And you know what? And if you're going in like that, you might as well do the actual order that they came out in. Because it'll be weird to just be like, I'm just gonna skip and go to Peace Walkers, just because Peace Walkers is the remake of the PSP version, and I'm playing Peace Walkers right now. And man, does that game look terrible. Even when it's like HDified, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, you're still like a Vita game. No, it's a rough looking game. Like the characters' mouths don't move.
I mean, I had the similar when a couple of years ago when I played through. I had the God of War collection for PS3, and that included the PSP games, so I never played. And that was a similar thing where it was like, even though they were in HD and all that, they were still pretty rough looking, but that's because, you're taking PSP games and blowing them up on big screens, and they're still like, they didn't look great. But
so I need to know what you think of the end of Metal Gear Solid 2.
It was a little tough to follow. It was just a lot.
GW, the AI that runs, it was all a simulation to train Raiden into like a snake or something.
That was a pretty cool twist on the plot, but yeah, I mean, I'm not like, I enjoy the Metal Gear games so far of what I played. I don't necessarily enjoy the way they dole out information, especially how long it takes for that, because there was a good point during the end of when I was at the end of Metal Gear Solid Metal Gear Solid 2, where I just sat my controller down and went and made dinner while I was listening to all the stuff happening in the background, because it was just like it was a good like half hour, 45 minutes of just like Metal Gear lore being doled out to me at once, and it's a lot to handle.
Oh, wait till you get to 4. 4 is
I'm sure is like
5-minute ending, and you're just kind of like, at some point you just embrace it, and you're like, all right, you know what? We're gonna go this crazy. Kojima, you are a madman. Let's see what's rattling that brain of yours.
Like after I finished 2 today, I was kind of like, do I want to start 3 now? And I'm kind of like, you know what? I think I played probably a good like 6 hours of Metal Gear Solid 2 today to try and finish it up. And I was kind of like, you know what? I think this is enough for today. I think I had enough that my brain can handle right now.
Yeah, you kind of you have to let it like marinate for a minute in there, and then because then like the best part is like thinking back on some of like the stupidity of it. Like, who was your favorite member of Dead Cell? Fat Man, Vamp, Fortune, Solidus, God, yeah, and Ocelot's, and you know this is the liquid Ocelot because he took his hand and.
That part definitely was the one where I was kind of like, what is happening now? Even as like where I'm like, so Liquid is like in Ocelot's arm possessing him, and I was like, what? Like, I don't know.
Arm transplants don't work like that.
I know. It was like, but yeah, it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it, and yeah, like you said, like some of the boss fights are pretty cool. Like you know, obviously the Fat Man one is a little ridiculous, but it's pretty awesome. Seeing him roll around on skates, throwing bombs everywhere, but it was a cool fight. And then and then like the vamp fight, where the vamp fight was actually fun because like the problem I had was again with the controls where I kept falling into the pool that was in the middle of the stage, and I would just die over and over again because I would try
endless water or something.
Where there's like the tank in the middle where he's like where after you shoot him he swims down. Yet you can try and shoot him from inside the pool, but like sometimes I would slip by accident and I would fall into the pool and I would be like, damn it, like
it's so good. Like the boss fights in that one are actually like, I think the boss fights had to be super unique because a lot of the game uses a lot of the same. Like you're in Big Shell for a while, and a lot of Big Shell looks the same until you get to like Arsenal Gear or something. But I remember they crashed a fortress into like what looks like Wall Street, and the
basically you fight on top of the Federal Hall, and it's pretty
ex-president
like,
and he's wearing a Dr. Octopus suit.
I know, basically. It was like when I saw that, I was kind of like, am I fighting Dr. Octopus right now? It was like, yeah, it was pretty nuts. But it's
Raiden and Rose fighting over Kodak. It's like, do you know what tomorrow is?
I did get hit in the feels pretty hard though when Emma dies and Otacon and Snake hug it out after it was yeah, but it was good. I enjoyed Metal Gear Solid 2, and I'm happy that I'm finally making some progress in my road to Phantom Pain. So I've got 3 games left, so it's still got a ways to go. But I'm
3 games in 2
working towards it.
I think you can do it.
I might be able to do it. Yeah, I'm not necessarily trying to hit it right before. I know it's probably gonna take me a while to get through, especially because the other games are a little bit longer. But I'm gonna, I just want to get to it so that way I'm ready for whenever Phantom Pain comes out in a couple weeks. So
you should do, once you're done, like a retrospective and just kind of like a write-up, just seeing what it's like for you to go into these Metal Gear games like so many years after the fact, and like it's because this was the trend. Every time a Metal Gear game came out was like, oh my god, this is the most amazing cinematic thing I've ever played in my life, 10 out of 10. And and then funny when you meet people who are like super excited when it came out but like haven't touched the game since, and then go back to it. It's like, yeah, it still holds up, but man, a lot of this game is like crazy dumb bullshit that I was like, I think everyone kind of gets swept up in like how crazy and big the game is. Like, and I feel like the same thing's gonna happen for Phantom Pain. Like, I'm looking forward to it. And like the more I see about the game, I'm like, yes, more and more, just because it's hitting all the right notes for me. And just like I'm playing Peace Walker right now, and all I'm thinking like, oh my god, imagine this game just better looking and like just the meta games is expanded like more and more. Like that's what I want. I'm looking.
I'm excited for it. Like I'm looking forward to, like, obviously, like I'm still catching up, so I'm playing most of these games after the fact. But I will be doing write-ups of all the games I play them, as I did one for Metal Gear Solid 1 when I finished it like 2 years ago. So this is going to be kind of a continuation of that. But I'm looking forward to playing more and seeing where it goes. I think, and obviously I'm sure like with Phantom Pain it'll be cool since it's kind of tying the 2 storylines together, since this is coming, it's kind of tying the whole like Peace Walker and all that, with the Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, it's kind of bridging those games together.
I'm thinking and I made a joke about it on Twitter because you find out that eventually you develop a weather machine, like i.e. a weather dominator that you can just kind of at any moment you can call your base like, hey, I need a sandstorm or like rain or something, and they can change the weather. And I'm just like, Big Boss is essentially putting together Cobra. Like, this is the origin story of a terrorist organization. Which is
I know, it's like that. I've gotten that vibe a lot from the trailers. Is this like G.I. Joe, like crazy, like military story? It's been interesting, but I'm glad.
like the
Metal Gear, yeah, it's the Metal Gear games have always been that series that I've kind of like been determined to try and play. So that's, I'm trying to finally make good on that promise. So,
but Metal Gear wasn't the only thing you played. You also played Everyone's Gone to the Rapture. Is that
you're close? It's Everybody's Gone to the Rapture.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I played through that. So yeah, I did play through that. Significantly shorter than Metal Gear Solid 2. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Probably I finished in about 3 or 4 hours, so it's pretty short. But for those that don't know, it's a new PS4 exclusive that just came out last week. It's developed by the Chinese Room, and it's co-developed with the Chinese Room and Sony Santa Monica. And the Chinese Room before did Amnesia, Machine for Pigs, and Dear Esther. A developer that's been kind of known by a lot of people as like developing walking simulators, which is like basically, I guess the easy way to describe it. But no, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture was really good. Basically, it's this short narrative game where you're in this village in England called Shropshire. In the mid 1980s, and basically after this rapture-like event has basically taken the majority of the planet's population, and they've disappeared. So it's kind of you just walking through this town and sort of investigating and piecing together what happened, and then while you're there, you're also seeing they're basically these balls of light that create silhouettes of like memories of people that lived in the community. So it kind of plays back. It's similar to something like I guess BioShock or something like that, where it's like you get to kind of see the events unfold and like what happened there, and it's you sort of piecing the story together and figuring it out.
Like that, the equivalent of like the audio log is you're watching kind of these ghosts talk to each other.
Basically, yeah. Obviously, like it's a little more visual, obviously, because. Sorry.
Is that all you do in there? Like I kind of, from what I've seen, it just kind of seems like you walk to a scenario, things happen, and you just kind of move on to something else. Does this fall under the? Is it more of a Dear Esther or more of a like Amnesia, Machine for Pigs? You're still doing things like actively avoiding and hiding. Like what happened? Like, is it really just kind of like a leisurely stroll through a small English hamlet?
I think this is actually a pretty good combination of both. Like, it's definitely not as involved as Amnesia Machine for Pigs was, where Machine for Pigs, you were still like solving puzzles and you were still interacting with the environment and things like that. This, you're not really doing that as much. This is definitely, I feel like, more like Dear Esther, where it is a bit more like, your interactivity, really your only interactivity is walking around, looking around, interacting to open doors and things like that. And then the other thing is that you have to tilt the controller. Like you'll come up to the balls of light, you tilt the controller to kind of activate those memories and see them. But that's really all you're limited to. So you're not really doing any like puzzle solving or anything like that. You are pretty much just going from area to area here. But I mean, that's pretty much the point and the way that the story is told, because basically what happens is as you go through, you're kind of introduced to like a set of like 5 or 6 characters that you see, like these couple of characters and their specific stories that kind of tie into the overall narrative. Because it's a small town, they all know each other, so like you'll meet up with there's like a priest character you meet early on, and then later on in the story, in the other stories, you'll hear, oh, so and so did this and so did that. So as you're going further, you're kind of knowing more about all these other characters, but also learning about what happened to the village as a whole. Because there's all these kind of weird phenomenon that you see early on, like in the early parts of the game. You see there are all these like bloody napkins and tissues and stuff like that all over the place, and you find out that like people were having like, oh, I've got this like weird nosebleed happening and stuff like that. So it all kind of ties into like, and then these were people that were eventually taken away by the rapture. So clearly there was some kind of weird physical phenomenon happening. And that's again, it's the closest games I could probably compare this to would be like Vanishing of Ethan Carter and Gone Home, I think, and Dear Esther, obviously. I think those are kind of the closest things. Is like, so there's not as much like you puzzle solving and things like that, more just experiencing a story and kind of piecing it together on your own.
So now that you're done with it, like, was the narrative worth it? Like, would you take back those 3 hours? Like, you said you follow like 5 or 6 people around. Was their story interesting enough to be like, I'm gonna keep going? You're like, yeah. Does it get to like a Gone Home level of like, you actually give a shit about what's happening to the girl and like her girlfriend and going and seeing like you can actually see the personality come through, whether it be in like these notebooks and audio logs or is it
I think so.
yeah, these people vanished. Who cares?
I definitely think so, that it does definitely hit a lot of those same kind of emotional beats as things like Gone Home or Vanishing of Ethan Carter especially was a game that I loved when I played it this year, and this kind of gave me a similar because kind of like with Amnesia, like it's not like this isn't a horror game, so it's not so much scary, but it definitely has that feeling like something like Machine for Pigs had, where there was just constant like dread and constant apprehension, because even though you know that like something's not going to pop out or whatever, it's just because like the way that the story, I can't really say much because I don't want to spoil anything, but like just the way that the story is told and the way that each of the story narrative arcs develop is, like you're always finding out something new and like seeing sort of twists on how you're understanding what's happened in this village and like how you're piecing it all together. And that also, like, the other thing too that goes along with it is the fact that the visuals are amazing. They're really, really good. Like the environments are all really well rendered and convincing. Like it feels like a real place. It doesn't feel like just like a bunch of levels. Because even like you as you're going around to different areas and kind of uncovering these new stories, it's very heavily exploration based. So you're kind of creating the story, because you can, if you want to, you can pretty much rush right to the final area if you really want to, but you're going to miss out on 90% of the story that the game has to offer. And also the music as well kind of helps with that, because the music is incredibly beautiful. It's got a very like kind of orchestral, like a hymnal sort of, like almost like a choir type score, but it fits really well, I think, with the story, especially with given that it's that it deals a lot with about like religion and the sort of spiritual aspects of this story.
Cool. So definitely, would you recommend it?
I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, I didn't review it. I don't know if we have anyone reviewing it. So I just played it on my own, but it was definitely enjoyable. Like even under those constraints, I feel like I wish there was a little bit more interactivity with because I feel like there were a lot of areas that are game that are locked off, or like there's just not, like you go up to, like sometimes you go up to buildings and there's nothing that you could do there. It's locked off, and I kind of wish that there was a little bit more you could play around with and see and kind of uncover, even if it doesn't tie into the main story, but just kind of give you more of an impression, of what happened here. And also because the big complaint that a lot of people have been highlighting in reviews is that the movement speed of your character is really slow, which didn't really bother me as much, because that's kind of what the game is. The only time that would become a pain is if I went to a house or something that was really far away off the beaten path, and then it turns out I couldn't do anything, and then you have to walk all the way back to like the main, the main part that you're trying to go to, and then it's like, oh, well, that was all for nothing. So I just wasted like 10 minutes walking over there to not see anything. So those are really my only complaints. But otherwise, I think it's a really, really awesome game. It's worth checking out, especially since it's short and there's not a lot out right now.
Yeah, it seems like in regards to the movement speed, like the developers kind of wanted you to soak in a lot of the atmosphere, because I feel like most of that story is the atmosphere you're in, and if you're just kind of sprinting through, you're gonna miss a lot of kind of like the specialness of going through like a field or seeing like how desolate the streets are. If you're just sprinting through, getting from like objective A to B, you can't not really putting I feel like it's an immersion thing.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely feels that way, because I mean, if you had like a sprint from like, I guess a really fast, I guess like Vanishing of Ethan Carter, like a decent sprint. If you were able to use something like that, you'd be through the game probably in like an hour. It would be really short. I think obviously, like you said, it would take away from a lot of what the game is trying to do.
Sweet. All right, there you go. Ryan recommends Gone to Rapture, or Everyone's Gone to Rapture. I'm bad with these titles, I've noticed.
It's fine.
As soon as there's like more than 5 words, and I'm just like, nope, butchered it. Ryan, I've got some great news for you.
There's a new Smash Brothers game coming out at the end of the year.
No, I know that you're a huge Resident Evil fan.
I like Resident Evil. I wouldn't say I'm huge, but I do enjoy Resident Evil. It depends on the one. If it's like, if we're talking Resident Evil 4, then I'm down. If it's like RE6, then I'm not down.
Let's go with RE2 because Resident Evil 2 is getting remade officially.
About time.
Yeah, right. So this is a weird story. So after numerous Resident Evil 1 remakes, because Capcom went on that like initiative saying like, listen, there's some bad things happening here at Capcom. We can only afford to do HD remakes of games because that's the only thing you people want to buy. And I hate that because that's like the snake eating its own tail. It's like, no, we need to stop buying these remakes so they can keep releasing remakes. How many times am I going to buy Resident Evil? How many times am I going to buy it?
Enough.
I got it on GameCube, and then I bought it again on Xbox One. It's the same goddamn game. I don't know what I'm doing, Ryan. Yeah, so Capcom producer Yoshiaki Hirabayashi. That's close, right?
I think he's just called H, so you could just call him that as well.
Oh, yeah, they have
him like his nickname, yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. So producer H apparently was on Twitter and social media being all active and just sort of said, I'm going to pitch Resident Evil 2 HD. Let's see how it goes. And you know, he made like a whole social media movement where people were tweeting at Capcom like, hey, where the hell is Resident Evil 2? And then he did a video on YouTube that we have posted on the site, DualShockers.com. And it is the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life because he's basically announcing, hey, they said yes. And then he opens up his shirt and he's like, we do it. And I'm like, no, that is adorable, but it is so wrong.
After I saw that video, I'm like, I want to make one of those shirts right now and just wear that. So just whenever I'm at work or something, or I get the chance, I can just open my shirt and it goes, we do it. It's like
that is going to be a great E3 Comic-Con shirt. Like I need to print one out and have one for myself because that's adorable. But yeah, only confirmed is that they're doing it. They have no idea if this is going to be built from the ground up or if they're going to do what they did with you know, there was never a Resident Evil 2 remake because the GameCube version was a remake of the PlayStation version. So we don't know if this is just a literal re-release where it's just, hey, it's widescreen and it's kind of HD-ish. I'm hoping that it maybe goes with the GameCube treatment where it's just like, it's like a shot-for-shot remake of the game with just updated graphics, maybe change up the story a little bit. But, I mean, I'm hoping, because I really like Resident Evil 2, is that they go, you know, they go, here's your Resident Evil 4 camera, you know, right behind the shoulder, you know, Leon or Claire, and then you just go to work, man, because that game is too good to... With all the games being remade by Capcom, I'm surprised that we've yet to get a Resident Evil 2 remake, or even a 3, because I thought Nemesis was awesome. Because Nemesis always had that thing of like, you know, Resident Evil games, there's a lot of backtracking, and it could get a little bit boring, so it's like they remedied that by, oh yeah, we're just going to throw an unstoppable tyrant every once in a while. He's going to smash through a wall and just ruin your day. And to me, that added like so much tension to the game, and like, you know, that we talked about like that feeling of dread. I would go into a new place and just start examining walls from a distance and be like, you got to crouch through that wall if I go through there. And you start, you know, at some point you start figuring out like what his quirks are and when he's going to show up because it's very scripted. Oh, look at all this ammo. What am I needing all this ammo? Oh, right, Titan's going to show up. You know, Tyrant's going to show up, and you're like, and he can't die. You can like knock him down, and then you leave, and then next frame is him getting up, and I'm just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it was basically the precursor to like Alien Isolation. It was basically like a similar idea, pretty much.
But yeah, see, my interest is peaked. I would definitely go for if it's like a legitimate remake. If it's just a re-release, then no, I'm not falling for that, Capcom. You've got me 3 times already.
No, I mean, like you pointed out, like you know, it's tough they really can't re-release it as is because, you know, it's an N64 PS1 game, you know, and they've never done any, like, you know, they didn't do the GameCube, you know, remake treatment for it, you know, so they pretty much have to at the very least, you know, do some significant work to kind of bring it up to today's standards, where even if it was just even on par with like the GameCube remake, like it has to at least be at that level, I feel like. So I feel like this is going to be more of a combination of like, you know, this will definitely be, I think, more of an overhaul than it will be just like the Resident Evil one, where it was like the one that came out this year, where it was like, oh yeah, we'll just take the GameCube remake and we'll polish it up a little bit and re-release it.
Hey, Sonny, what do you think of Resident Evil 2 being remade?
There you go. Yeah, he agrees.
That he agrees. I'm glad when you agree, Sonny. We're on the same page. All right, get on my shot. All right, well, switching gears from Resident Evil to Star Wars. The big Star Wars thing the big Disney thing is happening. What is it? D23?
Yeah, D23 is it's a fan expo it's in Anaheim, California right now, where Disneyland is, and so D23 is it's kind of this big celebration of Disney events. So that's happening now, and it happens every other year. So it's happening again this year.
Yeah, so they're showing a lot of Marvel stuff, a lot of Star Wars stuff, just because remember Disney owns Marvel, which is always weird to say out loud.
Yeah,
some Kingdom, some Disney Infinity toys were revealed, so more Star Wars. They announced a Star Wars amusement park, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm afraid. I would say, like, if people flip that the Harry Potter world, the Universal Studios, they're gonna go nuts for this. If they're gonna do a full on Star Wars world.
Ryan, if I can have blue milk at a cantina with Star Wars playing in the background, I'm set for life. I could die a happy man.
They're gonna add it to Epcot, so it'll be with like all the other world restaurants in Epcot. It'll be right there, Cantina. It'd be awesome. And, like Do you want to go to do you want to go to London? Britain? Do you want to go to Germany? No, let's go with the Cantina. We'll get some blue milk and hear the band.
Go to Cloud City Bar and Grill. I'm like, yes. The reason I mentioned into Star Wars stuff is that they announced this very sweet looking Darth Vader limited edition PS4. Hold on, let's get that in here and see what oh yeah. Hold on. Oh yeah. Look at that, Ryan.
There we go. Yep.
That is some goodness happening there. It's coming with a Star Wars. It's the Star Wars Battlefront bundle, so you get that. They were showing it off over. Look at that.
George, keep your pants on.
And it also comes with a voucher for 3 classic Star Wars games. I can't quite see what they are. Let's see what. Oh, shut up, Sonny. Jedi Starfighter, Bounty Hunter, Pod Racing Extreme, and Super Star Wars. That's great. I love it. Ryan, I want that more than anything. Make that happen. I have a hard time with it because they announced that Halo PS4, that Halo Xbox One coming out, and it's all like gorgeous and blue, and it's got all the weird like UNSC graphics on it. And I really want that, and I'm like, I already have both of these systems. Like, I can't find the justification of like, great, I'm gonna trade these in, get like what, $150, $200 for the systems, and then I still have to shell out another $200 to buy this. And then, like, they do the same thing. And the way I have them is like no one actually can. I don't proudly display my systems because they just kind of cram into like a little spot in a wall unit. So it's like there's no one there. I can't appreciate the aesthetic of these things unless I make it like my centerpiece. And it's just like I already have a giant Han Solo, so it's like I don't really need a Darth Vader on my PS4. Now, if the PS4 made Darth Vader, if the PS4 made Darth Vader respirator noises and does like, then you have my money. Then just take my fucking money. But I'm definitely getting that. I'm cautiously optimistic about Star Wars Battlefront.
I am too. I'm hoping that it turns out really well. It looks great. That's one I'll probably wait a little bit before I pick it up and see, especially because I have to find out what everyone's going to be playing it on, since I'll be playing it on PS4 probably. So.
I'm thinking that same thing. It'll probably, since PS4 will probably be the lead platform. So I'm in a weird dilemma now for most multi-platform games. It's always either Xbox One or PS4, and my guide has always been if it's an online game like Battlefield or something, I stick to Xbox One because the Xbox Live the service has always been a lot better for me, and most of my friends are Xbox people, so it shifts that way. But if it's say like a Dragon Age or something where the focus is, I'm going to be playing the single player, I will go for the better looking version because that one will be at like 1080, 60 or something.
Right. Yeah. I'll
do that on PS4. But now with my supercomputer that I've been just trying to benchmark a bunch of games to see like what the frames are at. And I was like, just for like ha-has, I'm like, let's put in Hitman Absolution. 75 frames a second. I'm like, wow, this looks like a different game. I said Skyrim with the HD retexture mods and stuff. And Skyrim looks like, whoa, I need to replay this game. Because my guy looks awesome and it's super smooth. And I did like extra death animation, like extra death finishers. And I'm just like, awesome. Yeah, like so I need to find time to replay all that stuff because, like I said, I'm looking at it through a different lens now, and it just
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way as like because I got my desktop last year, and it's it runs everything pretty serviceably. So most of the time now I'm kind of going with multi-platform stuff on my PC, and then exclusive stuff just on my PS4, and I'm hopefully going to try and get an Xbox One by the holiday, I think. So I'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, there's some great deals. Like Best Buy is practically giving them away. Like they were giving
I know, yeah,
a free 32-inch TV or something.
It was a 40-inch TV. Yeah, it was last week that they were doing a deal for $500. But yeah, especially because like Black Friday, especially because like they have such a strong lineup of games coming out this holiday, and they've done they've already been doing a bunch of great deals, like between giving away free games, a year of Xbox Live, extra controllers. It's like they're packing in a lot of extra stuff.
This holiday's gonna be nuts with bundles.
I'm probably gonna wait for a good deal on Black Friday maybe to pick up an Xbox One, but we'll see.
But yeah, I can't wait. So yeah, so my dilemma is like, what do I do for Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain? Where do I play it on, Ryan?
I know it's a tough call.
Because I'm like, for the single player, yeah, maybe I should get it on PC. But then like for the multiplayer, I need to go like, where are all my friends going to be on? Because I want them to be able to like defend my forward operating base when I'm not around, and I want to do it with them. Or am I going to be one of those people that I buy like a version on each platform and just bounce around? Which that sounds insane.
Yeah.
Even Sonny agrees. He's like, that's crazy, dude. And
I think he doesn't want you to spend money that you could spend on toys for him and treats and all that. So
we get this goddamn dog so many toys and so many stuffed animals that he just rips to shreds. He's just a Sonny the Destroyer, and we always do like before and after pictures because within minutes he is just like in the jugular of like stuffed monkeys and giraffes and just ripping the cotton out and getting a little squeaker as if it was like their heart. And it's just there, and he's just lethally chewing on it. I'm like, you're a savage. It just
it's what dogs do. So
they murder. He's a murderer of poor stuffed animals, and all they have, and they're dead with smiles on their faces. And I'm like, this is so weird. But quickly, if you go to PlayStation Blog, you'll be able to print out cute little foldable paper cutouts of Sackboy, Parappa the Rapper, Clank, Nathan Drake, Kratos, and Ellie, which I think I want. I think I want a Kratos just because his face is super. Well, let's do another screen share.
Yeah, I don't think I've actually seen these, but
look at me using.
Oh yeah.
This the face of insanity.
The Kratos one's pretty good. That's the one I'd probably go with.
Yeah, I want that like proudly displayed on my, like might print a bunch of these out at work and just have them.
I do love that Parappa one. The Parappa one's pretty awesome.
See, we need a Parappa remake. That would make my day.
That would, yeah.
And you know what, Ryan? We're gonna wrap it up just because it's been a slow week. Let's do it a quickie. This was a quickie ShockCast.
I've got more Metal Gear to play, so I need the time. It's like
you. And so what you been playing aside from your Metal Gear's journey here?
That's pretty much it, as we talked about before. So I finished Metal Gear Solid 2, and everybody's gone to the Rapture. So I'm probably going to jump into Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater tonight. I'll get started and hop in on that. And I do have to go back to The Witcher 1 at some point because that's been like, on my list now of backlog stuff that's like still been sitting up at the top. And I played it a couple months ago. I just didn't get around to finishing it yet. So that's going to be a tough one to get back into because I always have a hard time playing. Like if I play an RPG like that and then try and go back in a month later and I go in and I'm like, oh, what did I do last? Because I have no idea. So, but yeah, I'll probably dive into Snake Eater for a bit now.
Yeah, I'm having that problem with Witcher that I was like, oh, let me go back to it. And I'm back and I'm just sort of like, I don't know what I was doing. I don't know like what arc I was going. Like I don't know what side missions I was in the middle of, and like you lose an hour or two just kind of refiguring out your world. And
yeah.
I'll go back to this eventually at some point. Like that's gonna be if I'm ever sick for like a week or something. Like I have to take all my wisdom teeth out, so I know I'm gonna be like on the shelf for a few days. So I'm like that's maybe when I'll dive into The Witcher again. But I can't like. So what I'm playing, I got Galaxy for the PS4. It's kind of that roguelike space shooter thing, which I'm hearing good things about. So I'm gonna check that out. Maybe do a video for it. And just finished my review for Keen, Kern, KYN. I just wrote a review for it. It's okay. I wasn't super crazy about it, but for a $20 kind of like budget Diablo, I thought I thought it looked really well, and I thought the combat was really solid. The only issue is like all the RPG parts of the game were all like super shallow, and like just really like cumbersome menus. And like I wrote in the review, like me just trying to figure out how to craft an item was just like an exercise in patience, because it was like, well, you got to buy the from here, and then you have to get all the ingredients, and then like the way they have all the like ingredients sorted at like the merchants doesn't make any sense. So you're just they're just like going through like a ton of stuff, and I was just, you know what, I don't really need that sword. I'm just gonna pick up whatever loot I get.
That's always one of my least favorite parts of an RPG, is like when there's an intense like crafting system or things like that, just because like I just never really care that much, and I just don't like the hassle. But
yeah, I mean, there are better ways to do those inventories. And like even Witcher, as much as I love The Witcher, it was only the recent patch that took care of a lot of the inventory that let you finally sort items. And I'm like, I can't believe that we have to wait for a game to be out for 2 months. Like, you know, this is their third Witcher RPG. And just now they're like, oh, okay, I guess you should want to sort your quest items and your potions and stuff, right? And I'm like,
yeah, yes. I think that's kind of why I'm glad I didn't play Witcher 3 at launch, is because I feel like, you know, by the time I get to it, which probably won't be until like the end of the year at this point, but like at that point, it'll be a solid, stable game, like especially because of all the content they've been adding and all the patches and things like that. So I feel like by the time I play it, it'll be in a good state, you know, which, yeah.
I likened that to when people waited a while to play like Mass Effect 3, because the Mass Effect 3 that came out at launch, and then the Mass Effect 3 that came out a year later with like all the DLC and like just the Citadel expansion pack, just that made it for me. So it's like, imagine going through that first time, that game is a perfect 10 afterwards. But like at launch, you're just kind of like, oh, that ending, what happened here? And then but yeah,
that was definitely the same case. Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of post-release support, where it's like clearly you see something that's broken. If you have the ability and the resources to fix it, just go for it. Like it's not.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the trends, you know, that you're seeing with a lot of developers between like, you know, like with CD Projekt Red with The Witcher, with, you know, releasing post-launch DLC. You know, but you're also seeing that now, I think, how, you know, you have games like Destiny and the new Hitman coming out, where basically they have all this, you know, they're planning for post-launch content to keep players invested in the game and talking about it, and that's, you know, part of their strategy, rather than just like, oh yeah, here's the game, and then oh yeah, here's some other stuff we're just going to put out after the game's launching, whatever. Like, you know, no, they're like very focused on making it, you know, on making it part of their release strategy.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of Hitman, you actually got to go see that this week, right?
I did get to go see it this week. So we had, you know, so you had the invite, but you weren't able to go. So I went to the.
I went to go see the Hitman movie, and it was very prominent that it was like based on the hit video game franchise Hitman. And there was and the movie has a couple of like video game shots where it's like Agent 47 coming out of the darkness with his gun like that, and like the piano wire scene. And I was like, oh, like the movie is a dumb like action movie. Really fun though.
I heard it was good. Yeah.
I was really surprised with how well that movie came out. And, you know, I guess when you go in expecting something down here and it was like here-ish, you're like, oh, okay, I can dig it.
Yeah. So yeah, I got to check out. This was last Friday. I went for a hands-off demo of Hitman. They were also showing Hitman Sniper and Lara Croft Go. They were also just had like a little iPad set up so you could like go and see them before you went in for the demo. It wasn't a long demo. It was probably like 15-20 minutes. I didn't really get to see a whole lot of like the actual like. I didn't really get to see a whole lot of the actual like gameplay. Basically, what the demo was. So they did a gameplay trailer at E3, and it seems like this was based off of where basically like you have Agent 47 going into this big party, and he has to take out two targets. So basically, then what the devs did is they unlocked a kind of like a free fly like dev cam, so you could fly around the level and go through all the different paths. So basically, that's what the tour was. It was basically just kind of a tour of the environment. And, you know, the dev team that was there, you know, the dev team member showing me, basically just showing how many different routes and things like that you have to go around and do things. And not even just that, but also kind of the ways that you could approach things. So, like, he showed me, like, you know, you can kind of go the more straightforward ways, which is, like, climbing up a pipe to get up into the top level, and then, like, knocking someone out to take their disguise, and then, like, you know, or, you know, going into the party, going to the bar and poisoning a drink, and then, you know, getting your target to drink it and die that way. But then there were other things too that were more interesting, I feel like, where he showed me at one point where the guy made 47 put a bomb on the ground, near some security guards. But instead of like setting it off and killing the security guards, what he instead did was he distracted them to go toward the bomb. And then with the security guy found it, and he's like, "Oh, what's this?" He takes the bomb, takes it inside the house. Because what would happen is like normally if you try and go inside the party, you'll get frisked. So any weapons and stuff like that you'll be gone. So basically he was using the guards to smuggle bombs and stuff like that into the party. So that way then he could go in with no weapons and then go get the bombs and then take out targets that way. So there's like some interesting little twists they're doing there. Or another thing too, whereas like there was this group of electrical guys there that had like crates, so you could put your weapons inside the crate, dress up as one of the guys, and then when they go in to frisk you, you won't have weapons on you. They'll be in the crate hidden by cables and stuff like that. So there's a lot of really interesting ways that they're approaching how you can take out a target and complete a mission.
Yeah, I always love the sandbox nature of all the stages, was because like my favorite part of playing a Hitman game was replaying a stage once you beat it, where it's like, if you wanted to, you could just do the approach of like, you know what, I've got guns, I'm just going to shoot my way and get to the guy. And then, that's a different game entirely. But yeah, you can just go like, no, I'm going to do like my methodical, like if I go here and like kill the lights here on a timer, I know this will switch off and the guards will shift over there. Then I can change outfits and go here. And then like, you can always set like, it's almost like playing a game of like Mousetrap or something, where you're just like trying to put pieces in motion. And then once you're setting pieces, and then when finally like you kind of like flick the domino, and then you kind of see everything go down. Like that was always my favorite part of Hitman. And yeah, it's good to see them. Maybe like the hardware now lets them just be like, yeah, just whatever you want to do. You want to be an electrician and electrocute the guy, go do that.
Yeah, I mean, from the demo, like I got to see, even in that one level, there were probably at least 7 or 8 different ways that you could go about taking out your targets or whatever. And, they said that I asked, if they said this was like one of the bigger levels, and they said, oh no, we got levels that are way larger than this. So it seems like there's definitely going to be some content in there that really lets you kind of open up how you approach an objective or take out targets.
Did they say like where this fit in like the Hitman history? Is this kind of like after Absolution? Is this just during his career? Because I think they just credit Hitman with like, oh yeah, he's killed like thousands of people. So this is just.
No, I didn't really get a chance to ask that, but I mean, obviously, like with the title, with them just going with the Hitman title, like not including a subtitle or anything like that, I kind of got the impression that it was more like not like a remake, but more like a reboot sort of thing. It was what it seemed like. So I don't really know how it fits into the chronology, whether it's going to reference the past games or just go completely fresh. But for me, I've only played a very little bit of Blood Money and Absolution, so I'm kind of a Hitman newbie a little bit. It looked really cool. I definitely I haven't been this looking forward to a Hitman game in a while, and this one definitely seems really, especially because like I said before, how they're launching the game digitally in December. And then over the course of next year, they're going to be releasing new hits and missions and things like that all throughout 2016. And then basically, I asked them how soon that they would be releasing this content, and they said it'll be within a couple weeks to a month of the game debuting. So it seems like there's going to be a good amount of content in December when it launches, and then they'll support that with I guess kind of similar to like a Witcher model, where it's like every week or month they'll release new content to come to the game.
So they're almost treating the game as if like it's a platform.
Basically, yeah. I mean, the comparisons I'm kind of thinking of are something like Destiny, although like more frequently than something like Destiny, has been releasing content. But I think that's the intention, is that they're treating this is like the Hitman platform, and then every couple weeks or month or however frequently they're releasing content, they're going to release new missions or hits and things like that. And then they also, because they've said before, there'll be some hits and objectives that'll basically be kind of almost like the public events in Destiny. I feel like, where it's like there'll be one-time hits where you get one shot to do it, and if you miss it, then you can't get it back again. Ooh. So it's like there's going to be stuff like that that'll be pretty cool.
That'd be interesting if they tie achievements to it somehow and just be like, no, you can never get this achievement. Sorry, LOLs.
Yeah,
I think people would ride. Like if you could tell someone they can't get a platinum because they missed out because they were busy that day, and then maybe it'll be like an in-game achievement or something, but like I think it'll be or 20 achievement points because they were too late to the party. Like I think some people won't fly for that.
No, but I'm excited to see how they go with it, and obviously they're approaching it very differently this time around than previous Hitman games.
Awesome. So that was Ryan on his Hitman update. towards the very end of the show. So good job, Ryan. Just dropping some hot Agent 47 knowledge. And also
so hot.
For the movie screening, I got a tie for Agent 47.
I got the tie. I got the tie as well. So
I feel like they have a ton of ties, and they held the actors there too because they did like a little thing beforehand, and it was like a minute. They were there for like Zachary Quinto's. Yeah, you know, some of us got punched in the face, and then they just sort of left the stage. Like they were so, like they just kind of did not want to be there. It was kind of amazing. But yeah, check out Hitman. It's if you want like a dumb popcorn flick where like a lot of people get killed, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what? We're gonna close out, Ryan. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
I was your host, George Jimenez from DualShockers.com. Make sure to check out DualShockers for videos, reviews, news, and all that fun stuff. And more of Ryan.
So much of me.
And we're going to try to get more episodes of Joysticking with George. And Ryan's going to hopefully keep us up to date on all his Metal Gear shenanigans.
I know. I mean, I've got like 2-3 weeks now until Phantom Pain comes out. We'll see how it goes, if I can catch up in time.
Get to work, Ryan. All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.